New Guinea. Here are today's headlines. COVID-19 restrictions and border closures from virus spikes. Community suggestions to counter quarantine blues. Spending time outdoors during COVID-19. Alarming rapid increase of coronavirus cases in Papua New Guinea. Filipinos react to COVID-19 in community resurgence in Auckland, New Zealand. To kick off, allow us to present to you the COVID-19 statistics across the three countries as of last week. Australia has so far recorded more than 24,000 confirmed cases with an average of 240 daily cases, most of which have originated from the states of Victoria and New South Wales, the current hotspots of the virus in Australia. Later on, our correspondent Laurie Kate Solomon has more on this story. In New Zealand, the virus has seen a sudden resurgence as 11 new cases have been reported as of the 21st of August. The country had been recently beaten the virus and was pandemic-free prior to these recent cases. Papua New Guinea, meanwhile, has over 361 active cases as of last week. For our first story, Australia, particularly the states of Victoria and New South Wales, has faced increasing COVID-19 cases. In response, many states have imposed new restrictions and tightened up border closures to control the situation. Eagle News correspondent Laurie Kate Solomon from Townsville, Australia reports.
The crisis brought by the COVID-19 pandemic is still running rampant around the world. The current number of coronavirus cases here in Australia stands close to 24,000. Despite the numbers, Australia has been proactive in modifying implemented COVID-19 regulations to protect the nation and its citizens. The lockdown measures and border closures have been progressively changing in hopes to titrate the current active cases into a plateau.
As of August 2, 2020, the state of Victoria has been declared to be in a state of disaster. In Melbourne, a metropolitan city within the state has been introduced with Stage 4 restrictions. This meant that the residents' movement are limited by an overnight curfew from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. and travel for necessities and essential only. Whilst regional Victoria must follow the Stage 3 stay-at-home restriction as of August 5, 2020. As of date, the state of Victoria has the highest and strictest COVID-19 lockdown measure in Australia. Due to the ongoing situation in Victoria, neighbouring states such as Queensland and New South Wales has been strengthening and tightening their border restrictions to control the influx of interstate acquired transmission of the disease. In certain news, due to the hospital restrictions, a newborn has been separated from his parents since they are from a different state and were blocked from entering the hospital due to COVID-19 restrictions. New South Wales has closed its borders for Victorian residents, whilst Queensland has closed its borders for all of Victoria, New South Wales, and the Australian Capital Territory, as these mentioned states have been declared as COVID hotspots. For all of these states, a permit can be requested to be granted passage through the interstate borders. Individuals who are found breaching public health protocols and border restrictions can be subjected to hefty fines and time in jail. According to Prime Minister Scott Morrison, a potential coronavirus vaccine is being manufactured and will be offered to the whole population. At the moment, Australians are advised and encouraged to follow the protocols set in place by their local jurisdictions to maintain the numbers of COVID transmissions. Border closures are expected to be in place until 2022.
There have been discussions about lifting the ban where there are no more community transmission cases. Therefore, we must all unite to keep our communities safe from this pandemic. Reporting from Townsville, Australia, this is Laurie Kate Solomon. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Laurie. After months of quarantine and no end in sight due to the sudden spike in cases, Australians have been hit by quarantine blues. The community, however, has found strategies and ideas to deal with being stuck at home. Let's hear from some of these ideas from Charmy Quero in Perth. Charmy?
Most of us are staying at home with quarantine blues. What to do when you're stuck indoors? As more people bar themselves inside their home amidst the pandemic shutdowns, it may be tempting to keep your eyes fixed on TV or social media's newsfeed. But other than that, is there any quarantine ideas in comforting lockdown that we can do? We asked the community for their ideas and they came true to a lot of things.
Due to COVID-19, my children and myself had to isolate from work and school as we were considered at risk. So, homeschooling and working from home it was. These times has brought me closer to my children's education. It gave me the opportunity to find their strengths and weaknesses and teach them a few basic things in life. So I included cooking classes in their timetable and having fun baking.
I always make sure that I stay safe, healthy, and sane by making sure that I have enough sleep, I eat nutritious food, and I do exercise just like what I'm doing now. I am so lucky that here in Western Australia, we are allowed to do some exercises outdoor in as much as we follow the social distancing rules. So that's why this is what I'm doing right now. I have the time to think about the happy moments with my loved ones, families, and friends. And so I think that's the best thing we can do at our present situation. With this scenery, I remember, and I always do, that there is more to life than work, socializing, and happy moments with loved ones, families.
Keeping the spirits up during lockdown as this pandemic, realizing what's more important. As we have seen, we can stay positive and be productive at the same time. It's all about putting things in perspective. You can decide a life of less and more what you love and less of what you don't. It's the process and we're all in this together. Reporting from Perth, Australia, I'm Charmy Quero and we'll live in interesting times.
Thank you, Charmy. I'm sure many of our viewers will be trying out some of these ideas. Now more than ever, the claustrophobic confines of quarantine have got people craving for the great outdoors, grabbing every rare opportunity to explore. Here is Raylyn Rose Javier, our reporter from Brisbane, to give us a rundown of some wildlife and botanical attractions.
These days, when COVID-19 is widespread, spending time outdoors is now a rarity. That's why people grab every chance to go outdoors, given it's safe and secured for everyone.
Somewhere in Wutha, Queensland, we will take you to a must-see attraction that is Maleny Botanical Gardens. It is an exceptional private-owned garden that consists of nearly 18 acres of gardens set on a 110-acre property with over 6 kilometers of walking paths, winding around thousands of different plants ranging from roses, orchids, and some of the rarest cycads in the world, all of which are complemented by numerous lakes and waterfalls, providing countless options for photography. Part of the Maleny Botanical Gardens Bird World, which opened in November 2013, attracts visitors of all ages. The 4 walk-through aviaries that are conducted through interactive guided tours are home to over more than 700 native and exotic birds from around the world. For those who love nature and to those who like to be surrounded with majestic greenery, Maleny Botanical Gardens is really something to check out. It offers a calm and pleasant bonding with nature experience, great for a family trip. It's roughly an hour drive from the heart of Brisbane towards the north, but it's very accessible to anyone.
From Brisbane, Queensland, this is Raylyn Rose Javier, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Raylene, for suggesting these beautiful spots we'd all love to visit. After the break, we'll hear how the Filipino community in New Zealand responds to the resurgence of COVID-19. And Papua New Guinea faces an increasing number of coronavirus cases. All these stories when Eagle News International continues after the break.
The search for the best continues. Tagisan ng Galing Part 2 is now accepting audition entries. Kung ikaw ay 21 to 59 years old at may angking galing sa pagsayaw, mapasolo, duo o grupo man, magpadala na ng audition entry. Narito ang mga guidelines. Para makapagpasa ng entry sa dancing category, contact Shing at 0995-880-8004. Ito na ang pagkakataon mo para maging tagisan ng galing grand winner at manalo ng 2 million pesos. Para sa karagdagang impormasyon, i-like ang Tagisan ng Galing Facebook page. Kaya sali na!
Do you want to earn a degree while you work? New Era University now offers Expanded Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program, or ETEEAP. ETEEAP is an educational scheme that recognizes knowledge, skills, and prior learning obtained by individuals from non-formal and informal education experiences. It is implemented through deputized higher educational institutions like the New Era University that awards the appropriate degrees. Programs offered are the following: Master's Program, Masters of Arts in Education, major in Educational Management, Master's Program in Business Administration, Bachelor of Arts in Science, major in Political Science, Bachelor of Arts in Science, major in Mass Communication, Bachelor of Science in Education, major in Filipino, major in English, Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with majors in Human Resources Development, Marketing Management, and Financial Management. Beneficiaries must be Filipinos who have attained at least high school level of education. The program is flexible and you don't need to attend regular classes. Expanded Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program, or ETEEAP, is under the supervision of Dr. NILO ROSAS, the University President, and Professor ANITA P. Santos, Director of ETEEAP. For more information, contact the following: Cristina Moreno, 0995-138-0786, or email cvmoreno@neu.edu.ph, or Arlene Sarmiento, 0906-298-9150, or email cedctl@neu.edu.ph. What are you waiting for? Let New Era University be your partner in achieving your dreams.
Welcome back. I'm Celine Ryan Andrews, and you're watching Eagle News International Australia-Oceania. To further enlighten us on the circumstances and consequences of the alarming increase in coronavirus cases in Papua New Guinea, Eko Hortaleza Kanola, our correspondent from Papua New Guinea, will join us to report on the situation.
The rapid increase of coronavirus cases here in Papua New Guinea is alarming. The authorities believe that this is because of the community transmission from the National Capital District to other provinces and vice versa.
As of this date, Papua New Guinea's coronavirus cases have increased rapidly, but some of the reported positive patients of COVID-19 before had recovered and were now discharged from the Rita Flynn Quarantine Center. The National Control Center confirmed that early this month of August, greater number of infected patients came from the National Capital District. 12 among them are Filipinos working in a big construction company. Some are now confined in Rita Flynn Center, and the others are in Port Moresby General Hospital. These isolation centers are currently nursing patients from moderate to severe COVID-19 victims. We were able to talk to one of our kababayans who is suffering from this public health enemy via phone call. He assured to us that all Filipinos who are presently in quarantine are comfortably fine and coping from their illness. They are well taken care of by the frontliners. Services and proper medication are provided to them. This inspired them to all the more fight this global suffering despite the fact that they are far from their loved ones.
COVID-19 has had an adverse impact on our lives due to several lockdowns that has affected students. Adjusting to the new normal has also affected a lot of people because not everyone is used to this new way of doing things. With the new measures in place, they're expecting every one of us to adhere to the new health measures, like sanitizing our hands, wearing of masks, which is mandatory in Port Moresby, and to maintain social distancing. The PNG government, I would like them to really ensure that funding is available to help everyone.
The Papua New Guinea government have traced that the reason why COVID-19 rapidly spread in the National Capital District is because of the people who have traveled recently via domestic flights. They carried the transmission from National Capital District to other provinces of Papua New Guinea or vice versa. Though lockdown have been uplifted and school had resumed classes in Papua New Guinea, the domestic and international flights are still restricted. Since the situation is evolving, the government has set up urban clinics to help secure the safety of the people. Pandemic safety protocols are absolutely implemented.
Reporting from Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, Echo Hortaleza Quinola, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Echo. We are hoping the best for those in Papua New Guinea and that they may be able to prevent further spread and work towards eradicating it completely. After successfully beating the initial outbreak of COVID-19 in New Zealand, thanks to the large part of the Filipino contributions from the 5 million team, the second wave has only strengthened the resolve of the Filipino community in quickly stamping out the second outbreak. Greg Bessa, our New Zealand correspondent, has more details. Greg?
Filipino community in New Zealand was part of the strong and united 5 million team that worked together with the government in successfully stamping out the first wave of COVID-19 cases that hit the country during the first 2 quarters of this year. As New Zealand is now experiencing a second wave of the coronavirus infection by community transmission, members of the Filipino community are again willing and ready to be part of such team as the government is reinforcing once more its go hard, go early strategy aimed at defeating the resurgence of COVID-19 for the second time around. Due to new COVID-19 community cases in South Auckland, the Prime Minister, upon consultation with her cabinet and health officials, decided to put the Auckland region in lockdown at alert level 3, while the rest of the country was under alert level 2 for 3 days from the midday of 12 of August. As the number of cases grew while the government was determining the source of the community infection, the status of alert levels was extended to another 12 days until the midnight of 26 of August. In the Auckland region in particular, wherein travels are strictly prohibited unless classified as essentials, members of the Filipino community are doing their best to comply with the government guidelines and restrictions in terms of their movement and in adhering to health and safety requirements. They are also taking advantage of the lockdown to do productive activities within their respective bubbles. Yet, just like the rest of the population in New Zealand, a number of Filipinos from various backgrounds have expressed their views, sentiments, and apprehensions on the re-emergence of the coronavirus in the country.
I appreciate the Prime Minister's quick decision to move and impose alert level 3 in Auckland Greater Area to combat the resurgence of the COVID-19.
As a health worker, my message to my fellow nurses in New Zealand and all over the world, we should keep ourselves safe by observing all the necessary precautions in preventing the spread of the disease.
The action regarding us going back to lockdown 3, especially here in Auckland with a community transfer, like everybody, I guess we were a bit scared and unsure of what was going on. But then again, realizing how we tackled the first lockdown, we just had to say and trust the government at this stage.
It was really a surprise to learn that there is a community transmission of COVID-19. Well, that is after 100 days of no active cases. To be honest, it created a bit of panic in my family until it sinks in and it becomes our new normal again. Well, in Auckland, we are alert level 3 at the moment. The impact of this is to my students. As a teacher, it's a huge and massive impact to the learning of our students.
The pandemic has once again reappeared, causing Auckland to go back to level 3 and all the other places here in New Zealand back to level 2. As a Cambridge student, it is very worrying for us, as far as I know, that our end-of-year exams may or may not be happening.
Sasabi ko lang po na bumalik po ang second wave na COVID-19 dito sa New Zealand. Ay iba yung pag-iingat, lalong-lalo na po kami mga FW rito, ay nangangamba rin po sa pagkat ang sakit na to ay talagang lumalaganap na sa buong mundo. At marami na rin po napipinsala na mga trabaho, lalo-lalo na po yung mga kababayan natin dito sa New Zealand na walan ng trabaho po.
On the other hand, Philippine Ambassador to New Zealand, His Excellency Mr. Jesus Domingo, is calling the cooperation of the Filipino community in abiding with the government's COVID-19 guidelines, as he is reassuring them of the Philippine Embassy's continuing services amid the reactivation of alert levels across the country.
Regarding the recent announcement of Alert Level 3 in Auckland and Alert Level 2 sa iba-ibang parte ng New Zealand, we just advise our kababayan na sumunod tayo sa mga patakaran and protocols regarding the alert levels, and just generally stay home, stay safe, and this is not a cause to panic. Otherwise, New Zealand is still one of the best has one of the best managed responses to COVID-19. Just also to remind na the embassy, of course, remains open. There's no effect in our schedules. Tuloy-tuloy po ang serbisyo namin. And also, if you need to go home through the repatriation flight, please register with the embassy kung hindi pa kayo naka-register sa amin, and follow our Facebook page and our website for updates on other activities and developments regarding repatriation, COVID-19, and embassy services.
As the government is waging another battle against COVID-19, Director General of the Ministry of Health of New Zealand, Dr. Ashley Blomfield, is rallying once more the support of the 5 million team by saying, and I quote, "We have done this before. We can do it again." From Lower Hutt, Wellington Region, New Zealand, this is Greg Bessa. We live in interesting times.
Thank you, Greg. One can only feel pride for the activeness and continued diligence of the Filipino community and the 5 million team in their plight to defeat COVID-19 in New Zealand once again. Thank you for joining us in this episode of Eagle News International Australia-Oceania. See you next time as we bring you stories that matter to you from our bureaus across the Australia-Oceania region. Visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on twitter.com/eaglenews and on facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I'm Celine Ryan Andrews, Eagle News. We live in interesting times.